We chose Charlotte's Web because it's full of animals and it's just a really relatable text. They're interested in the story.
My favourite character from Charlotte's Web is Charlotte because she has a lot of wisdom and she's really kind.
Wilbur is very humble and he's just so cute, and he is very caring about other people even if they don't care back to him.
I really like Charlotte because she tells a lot about herself, and she sort of changes Wilbur's life a bit because
without her he would have been killed.
Yeah.
It has raised issues of, is it right to slaughter runts and that sort of thing. So they definitely have empathy for the animals in general and making connections with their home lives and the pets they care for.
If your parents said, look, we're not willing to pay any more for your animal's food, you have to sell your pet, how would you feel?
I'd be devastated.
Take the guinea pigs and run.
You would take the guinea pigs and run.
It gives them something more realistic to hold on to. So when they're creating the links between survival and how to care for an animal, they can go, well, I understand the idea of caring for a pet, and then I understand the idea of caring for the animals in the book. So what does that mean on a bigger scale? I think it just feels that link.
Dear fan, I have multiple tips for your pig. Please remember this. Do please make a bed using straw, hay and wood chips.
Do you know anything about looking after pigs before this?
No, but I do know how to care for a cat since I had one.
We use the lab more as a research centre.
Our role today is very much going to be a researcher. Okay, so we might use this space as a research lab.
So they had their coats on, they had their clipboards, they researched on their devices and filled everything out.
Even their facial expressions, they seem to be more, professional or serious, especially when they put the lab coats on. That seemed to be pivotal for them, that they were transforming.
What would be an example of a physiological adaptation in a beautiful spider like me? Scientist over there.
Spiders have venom to protect themselves from predators.
Excellent.
We went out of the space and they came back in where the lab coats are by the entrance, put their lab coat on, sanitize their hands and pretend to sign in on an iPad or something and gather their materials, and then they come and sit down and they were in the space as a researcher ready to begin.
Weak or small pigs, so that's your runt, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when they're first born, they need 40-degree temperature.
When they take it off, it's lessons over, okay? They completely switch off and they're ready for wherever they're going next. So it's that's removed and you just see they're back to their cheeky selves. I wanted them to explore adaptations and be able to explain the adaptations an animal has and how it helps them survive in their environment. Because we decided on Charlotte's Web, it was an easy link to look at farm animals and their adaptations. So the problem was that the other animals are jealous of Wilbur's fame. We heard that you're experts and you told Wilbur how great it was that he was a pig and all these adaptations pigs have, but can you do the same for the rest of us? That has motivated the students to choose an animal from the story, and they've researched the 3 adaptation types that that animal has.
On physiological, geese have oil glands that are used for waterproofing their feathers. I thought they just get their feathers wet and then dry off, but their feathers are actually waterproof due to the oil.
We did create a graphic organizer to support them through the research process because we knew we want to see these things in your work. So we had to create a template that said behavioural, physiological, structural, to give them some guidance around the actual science we needed to see. But once they had filled that in, it was their own creative time. However you want to present it in a slideshow. I know that with their misconception around the vocabulary, we've had Charlotte come in to address that. It's just a surprise. We didn't say we're having Charlotte visit us. We just said, all right, let's get on with our research. And then about midway through, Charlotte comes in.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Charlotte. Can I have all of your eyeballs on me, which is not very many eyes compared to me.
And does a little bit of a lesson around that vocab.
Now, I've heard something deeply disturbing. You guys are mixing up structural and physiological. I'm hijacking your lesson and you're going to do a bit of research and become an expert on those two words. So, what are the structural features of the horse?
They have legs.
How many? As many as me? 4. Oh, I don't know how they get around.
For the senior year levels, I still sometimes feel a little self-conscious leaving the space and coming back in. They kind of, will roll their eyes at me or whatever, but then it just feels fun and they still engage and they still will pretend.
How do you even see with only 2 eyes? I feel very sorry for you.
Where are your legs?
My legs, here they are.
Vet Verity gets in her scrubs and came to visit.
Knock, knock, knock. Hi. Hi! I heard you had some questions about looking after a runt.
There was a group of girls that straight away were like, I need help, answer these questions. And they let me play the expert quite well, even though I'm not sure I always get all their questions.
We need help with the recommended medication.
When you have a runt piglet, you'd probably want to keep an eye out for worms. And what medicine do you think you'd use for that? Yes! Dewormer, that's a good one.
All the kids react really differently, which means that the scenario is never the same. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes they come out with stuff you don't expect. So you kind of have to, oh yes, I'll get back to you on that one. It's just more researching and going back, and they're quite happy to learn together so we can do it together.
They're going to think it's just the most wonderful thing to see their teacher playing and giving them permission to be silly and to be a kid and use their imagination, because that's all kids want to do. They want to have fun, and you'll just become addicted to doing it.